One loss versus Michigan State, almost came back and won. Nice win against Miami. Overall, where would you assess Nebraska football? Where do you think it stands right now?
I think in terms of expectations before the season, I think a lot of us predicted we would probably lose to Michigan State. I think we were probably upset with the way the game went. I got kind of out of hand for a while, then all hell broke loose in the fourth quarter. But I think, all in all, I think we're in a good spot. Our schedule hasn't been entirely too difficult, so we've looked great against some inferior opponents. But it is good to see, with the game against Rutgers, I think we just out-talented them. We didn't execute as well as we probably should have, and Amir kind of just covered a lot of that up. I am concerned with some of the offensive line play and some of the starters that are in. I do think there's some slight nepotism going on with Pelini and Cotton. Cotton especially has just been awful this year. I'd like to see a different rotation in there. Defensively, I thought we looked great. If we're not very deep, so if we get any injuries the rest of the way, we could be in trouble. But I like where we are, except for maybe Cooper and some of the linebackers. But I think all in all, I think we're in a good spot to make a run here. Purdue, we should beat them. They're very much improved, but we should beat them pretty handily. Then the fun starts, and we really get to see where we're at. But I think the schedule will set up to make a run early, see where we're at with Michigan State. We didn't pass that test, recover, and then make a run at the end. So I think we're in a good spot now. It's going to be put up or shut up, though, here in November.
Look, I don't think the losing to Michigan State is the end of the world. Like it doesn't feel good to lose to them, but we come back and win, sneak up behind them, and win that game. Say we go to the Big Ten championship and face them again. Michigan State's probably going to blow us out, and it's not going to be a comeback victory. We don't have a shot in that game. This time, if they get a lead, they'll probably keep it. But, it's not easy to beat a team twice. I don't care who it is. I think we got that, Nebraska's got that, second, that other factor that, we want revenge. We're going to get it. I think that's an underrated thing. If we face Ohio State, all that goes out the window and probably get blown out, like the Wisconsin game. What do you think as far as Big Ten championship goes? What do you think the odds are for Nebraska right now, looking at the rest of the West?
I think we're in a good spot. I think, like you said, the Michigan State game wasn't the end of the world, because if we had to choose which game we were going to lose, in terms of quote-unquote big games, we'd probably rather lose the Michigan State game than a Wisconsin game, just because Wisconsin's in our division. And, it is difficult to beat a team twice and in the same season, so we would have that extra motivation to beat Michigan State. And if we're thinking big picture here, not just Big Ten championship, if Michigan's going to run the table and we run the table, that's probably two top 10 teams facing each other in the Big Ten championship, and whoever wins that game could make it in the playoff. So there's a lot of things ahead of us here. We just got to stay healthy, clean some of the penalties up, and I think we're in a good spot. Wisconsin, I don't think they've actually somehow gotten worse as the season has gone on, in my opinion. It's kind of strange. They did get Stabby back, so that could solve some of their problems offensively. Iowa is just kind of blah to me. And there's really nobody else on the schedule that really scares me other than Wisconsin in a potential rematch with Michigan State. I think Michigan State's going to handle Ohio State, so I'm really not concerned with that.
How many SEC teams do you think are in for the college football playoff? As ESPN's going to want at least two, right? Or do you think it's these teams are just going to beat up on each other, and it's going to be one SEC team? What do you see from the SEC in the college football playoff?
Well, I think we're going to find out on Tuesday how the committee sees and views the SEC, specifically the SEC West, when the first rankings come out. But in my mind, I think they're just going to beat each other up. I don't think Mississippi State's going to run the table. I don't think there's going to be any undefeated teams there. I think there might be a couple teams that are going to lose a couple games. I think Ole Miss is going to lose a couple games here. The only way I see two teams possibly getting in is if, let's just say, Mississippi State only has one loss or is undefeated going to the SEC or the SEC championship, and a team like Georgia beats them. that could maybe sneak 2 SEC teams in. That's the only way I can see it happening is if the SEC East team upsets the SEC West team. But if Oregon runs the table, they're probably in. Michigan, whoever the Big Ten champion is, probably should get in there. I think in my mind, if it's Michigan State, especially. Big 12, I think they're going to beat each other up, so I don't really see them even getting a team in. So it's going to be very interesting, and we'll find out a lot Tuesday with the initial football playoff rankings.
It's kind of disappointing because the Big 12 might be the most fun conference to watch. If they don't get a team in, it's going to be, Oklahoma's probably not going to get in. You look at TCU, probably not. Baylor, probably not. If they don't get a team in, those are all fun teams to watch. It's going to blow. They need to have a rule where you have to be a conference champion to get in, I think, because it's just crap that the SEC might get 2 teams in just because, people perceive it to be the best conference in college football. I kind of think I actually think the Pac-12 is the best conference right now. I think it's the most competitive. The SEC is good, but it's the SEC West. The SEC East is terrible. Top to bottom, I'd take the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be strange because you could pick a handful, or maybe not a handful, but 2 or 3 of the teams in the Big 12, for example, that would totally run the table in the Big 10. Pac-12 too. I mean, Oregon, you see what they did to Michigan State, and they're struggling in their conference because it's so competitive top to bottom. I mean, even Colorado is giving teams problems now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I'm in total agreement with the requirement that a conference champion should get in, because if you're not the best team in your conference, what gives you the right to fight for the best team in the nation? So I'm with you on that. I mean, it's going to be very interesting come Tuesday how the committee ranks these squads and what they hold weight to. And, one team we're not really talking about is Florida State, and they're defending champions, which is kind of strange. I think it's kind of the team that, out of all the defending champions, it's kind of been overlooked. I think it's because Jameis has kind of taken all the attention away from them. But they're going to be there at the end as well, and they have the talent to compete with everybody, obviously. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run at the end.
Well, we are blessed, me and you, here in Omaha/Bellevue, Nebraska. We get the pleasure of listening to 1620 The Zone, which turns into NBC Sports Radio. At some point during the day. By far the worst. I mean, you don't have to put your name to that, but by far one of the worst radio stations. Anywho, there was some jackass on there talking about how the ACC, Florida State winning a tough ACC, I don't care if Florida State wins it, whatever. For him to say tough ACC, I don't think it's much better than the Big Ten. Georgia Tech, maybe Clemson might be the second best team in that conference. That conference is terrible, just slightly ahead of the Big Ten. I don't think the ACC gets enough credit for how crappy it is. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I think Nebraska would be the second best team in that conference right now, and we're not even.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And Nebraska might be. I'm not sold that Ohio State is that great. Although I did make a joke about Nebraska getting pummeled by Ohio State, I'm not so sold that Nebraska is not the second best team in the Big Ten. As sad as that sounds.
It is kind of crazy to think about, and it's something I always kind of bring up to people when we're talking expectations about Nebraska as a program and how we're doing. Is consider where we're at though. We're kind of in the Big 12 North, but an entire conference right now is the Big 12 North.
It's very comparative.
Right, but you still got to play the game. You still got to win it, and you got to give us credit for actually just winning those games. But to say the ACC is a top tier conference is very laughable to me. I mean, maybe basketball, but I don't know about football. Though.
Well, I what I miss with college football? I miss the old Big East with that. West Virginia, South Florida being good, Rutgers being good. You look at Louisville. That conference is that conference was fun to watch. Every Thursday, Friday night, they always had a good game on. You know, the old Big East is pretty much the new Big 12, if you look at it. I mean, high-flying offenses, that's pretty much what it is right now.
Oh, yeah. If you gave me a choice between watching a Big 12 game or a SEC or a Big 10 game, I'm probably going to pick a Big 12 game. Now, between Pac-12 and Big 12, I might be kind of up in the air there, but the only reason I didn't even watch Big 10 games is because Nebraska's in the league now. I used to hate the Big 10. I still make fun of it. I don't care that our team's in it, but you're right. It's an entertaining league. They got some great coaches in that league. I mean, the team put up 82 points the other day, which is unheard of.
Yeah. With the Pac-12, Big 12, it's the thing. The Big 10 these teams need to kind of understand. You need to be more open-minded as far as offenses go. You look at, Rich Rod, Mike Leach, which you got, Gundy in the Big 12, and then Pac-12. If the Big 10 would just open up their minds to, where college football is going, they'd be more successful. I guess hiring Urban Meyer was a step forward, but it doesn't really look like any of these other schools are heading in that direction. And it seems like a team like Northwestern or Purdue or Indiana should take that step. Why is nobody like that taking a step in hiring a Mike Leach type?
That's a good question. I think Indiana tried, or they're trying with Kevin Wilson. He was kind of the spread guy at OU. Northwestern was kind of like that team when they had, I forgot his name, Walker, I think was their coach.
Gary Barnett?
I think there was a guy after him. Gary Walker, or what the heck was his name?
Walker. Yeah, Gary Walker. Yeah, when Nebraska played him in the Alamo Bowl. It's Randy Walker. I mean, he was kind of a spread guy, but now that Pat Fitzgerald is a little more of a defensive-minded coach. But I think we're trying. I just think we're not getting the right guys. When you look at those Pac-12 teams and you look at the coaching there, and you look at our coaches here. I mean, James Franklin just comes over, and he's not really a spread guy, but he comes over. He's already like one of the top coaches in the league already, and that tells you already where you can just have two SEC guys just come in here and they're already the two best coaches in the league. It's kind of strange, but I think it's a matter of just hiring the right hires versus the concepts right now, I think. Looking at, what's your prediction for Big Ten championship? Do you think it's Michigan State, Nebraska? You going Ohio State? Who do you think's in for the Big Ten championship?
If they keep playing like they're doing right now, I'd say Michigan State, Nebraska. I think there's going to be a lot of interest for that game. I think Delaney probably wants that, to the way the divisions are set up. We have a little more cachet than everybody else in our division, and I think it'd be good for both of us to run the table to get to that point, just for a respect standpoint for the national perception. So that's my prediction right now. I think top to bottom, we're the most well-rounded team in the West. Michigan State's obviously the bully in the whole league. So I don't really see any reason why those two teams won't make it in the end.
Do you think? What do you think David Stern would rig it to be if it was his choice for the championship?
Oh man, why do you have Joey Crawford ref the games for probably Michigan State just to make sure they get in? They're their best shot to get into that playoff. But I think it'd probably be Nebraska too. I mean, they need a great Nebraska in this league to carry the Western Division. So it'd be the two teams I think everybody wants to see in the Big Ten championship. David Stern would definitely rig that. He'd send in Donnie and whoever else he'd bring in.
Looking at the Nebraska upcoming schedule, who do you think is that possible upset?
Minnesota at home.
Minnesota. You think Jerry Kill is going to come in here and possibly upset us.